We have a nice ink there.
All right, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to October 30th Economic Development Committee meeting on this Halloween Eve.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. They'll stop talking in a minute. Hey, ladies. Nancy. Hello. Hi. 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 Oh, we're going to start. We're going to go ahead and start. Do you want us to wait?
Yeah.
I know. I could tell. I'm like, they're not quite done yet, so. You want us to like wait or as you're eating? Are you going to bring this up?
There's a public comment.
Oh, she didn't bring it up. Okay. All right. So I need a motion for the approval of the agenda for October 30th. Anyone? Approval, agenda? Brian got his mouth full. Somebody? Thanks, Sean.
Second.
Thanks, Carl.
Yep.
Everybody? Yay.
Aye.
I need the approval of the minutes from September 18th, 2025, please. Anyone?
Move so.
You one, two, everybody? Good. Okay, NJ, we're good to go. Public comment? Liz is here. No? No? Okay.
Yeah.
I always hope that somebody will say
I
something.
know, so boring though.
I know. And then updates from community partners. I think that we have a new community partner that I've not met. Is this what I think? Dawn? Okay. I'm so excited. Are you uncomfortable? It'll be fine. Okay. Is Paul, nobody's on,
Net's on.
but Paul's not on.
Correct.
Okay. Skepoo City Council, that's Jeanette. Hey, Jeanette, do you want to give us your update from Skepoo City Council? Hi, Susie. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I don't see your dog or your pony. She got a show. Jeanette,
So Jeanette just messaged me. She is unable to speak. Her mic isn't working where she is right now. So I can give you a couple updates though. Council has been working on a assessment tool for the city manager recently. So they've been meeting about that and getting feedback from all the department heads on staff and working collaboratively amongst each other, but also with the city manager. Other things coming up, they've got the meeting on November 3rd is canceled. So the next meeting will be November 17th. That's a pretty packed agenda at the moment. And then looking forward a little bit more, they've got their goal setting session that will take place sometime in January or February of next year to update and review the goals that you see on the board to your left there.
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
NJ, so they seem to be taking a lot of time on this assessment thing. We've had a city manager here for many years. We've obviously had assessment tools. Was there a change in maybe Oregon law or something, or why are they taking so much? I mean, it seems like a lot of resources on it. I'm just questioning.
Yeah, a lot of it had to do with, as many of you probably know, Marissa Jacobs, who used to be on council, had an HR background, and her and Kim Holmes were kind of taking the lead on this. And then when Marissa stepped down from council, they had to sort of refigure out where they were going to go and who was going to step up and take the lead. So taking a little bit longer than planned just because of changes in who's on council and things like that. Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Just to say it on the microphone again for the recording, there's no issues or anything like that. It's, you know, a couple of them have said that hiring a city manager and reviewing their performance is the most important thing that the city council does, and there's a lot of reason to agree with that. And so yeah, just making sure that they have it right, no matter who's in the chair or what problems or advantages there are with that person. Just want to get the review process right.
Paul's trying to sign on and he's having a hard time. Is there a problem, you think?
I don't know. Jeanette made it on, but no one else is. I'll reach out and email him.
I had the same problem this morning with Teams.
Yeah, I had another meeting on Teams. I could get in, but the mic didn't.
Oh, maybe that's Jeanette's thing. They could call in. Okay, so Columbia County, we have no Casey. So here we are for OMIC. Yeah, yeah. Do you have a little soft shoe for us? We like that. That's our favorite.
Well, good afternoon. Happy to be here. My name is Don Hendrickson. I'm the Executive Director of OMIC R&D. I've taken over this role full-time since May of 2024, but I've been involved in OMIC since the very start.
How come we've not met you before?
I came first time I was invited, so I would be good. I've had a lot of folks from the community come see us there. All of you are invited to come see OMIC R&D whenever you'd like.
We've seen it many.
Yeah. So it's great. But anyway, I was involved in the start of OMIC R&D. I worked for the Boeing company for 34 years, and OMIC is patterned after the AMRC in Sheffield, UK. I'm actually leading a group over there next week, so it should be good. We're in a good position right now. My team has 20 folks. We've hired multiple people from the local community in key positions in recent months. So we have significantly more strength to carry on the kind of research that we're meant to do. In particular, we have amazing capabilities in metal additive technologies. Besides our base state funding, we have a special grant from Business Oregon as part of the Center of Innovation Excellence. So we're one of those centers, one of 5. Our focus is additive manufacturing, specifically in metals. And so we'll be reaching out to more companies in the area here and across the state to come see our capabilities and teach them what the opportunities are there. And we have funding to be able to do projects for them so they can get familiar with it. So I think that'll be good. We get visitors from across the country and international locations that host events at OMIC R&D. We have a major event coming up in December from NIST, which is the National Institute of Standards and Technology under the Department of Commerce. They reach out and hold town halls to update their national advanced manufacturing strategy. And so we'll be hosting the only event like that in the Northwest in conjunction with Oregon State University. So it's a time of significant growth for us. We have other significant manufacturing platforms coming in the next 3 months here. We'll have a high-speed printer for composites that'll be of interest for folks interested in the drone industry and some of the things used in electronics, as well as a large machining platform that will be the largest that we have inside at OMIC to allow us to do more complex cutting tool studies. So it's really, really a good time, and I think a very positive story. We hosted Manufacturing Day a couple weeks ago with PCC, the OMIC Training Center, and had about 150 students, with the majority of them from Scappoose High School and Scappoose Middle School, getting a chance to see the capabilities. We had 16 of our members and partners between PCC and Oregon Tech that were there to greet the students. So that's good. We hosted 20 interns this last summer, and a number of them from the local area. And some of our interns are on full ride scholarships with Oregon Tech to finish their undergraduate degrees, and several of those are graduating this year. And we hope to hire the majority of them to come back to this area and work full time with the skills that they have. So it's a great time to be part of what we're doing here, and happy to answer any questions anybody has about OMIC R&D.
I have questions. How many partners do we have now?
We have 39 right now, and we're probably talking to 3 or 4 others that will probably join the next few months. So that part's been very strong.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Paul, did you have something to say?
Yeah. So I've been out there a couple times. So I think first of all, I think the citizens want to know what OMIC can do for me from the citizens aspect. And I had a conversation at the lodge, which is, basically the county center or the city center of all community events. And, someone was talking, we had people at table and they said, oh, I have this idea to, 3D print something and then laser etch, whatever. And then someone else said, well, maybe you should go to OMIC and see. And then the other person said, no, OMIC's all about R&D. And they have like the big guys there and Intel and all these other things. You can't just walk in there. And that's how it ended. Confusion, like, are you open? Can I go see it? And I said, well, geez, I've been down there. They have this little lab. Well, geez, I went online and looked. I don't even know. I couldn't find anything. So I guess my question is, with everything you said is interesting with regards to the students and everything else coming, but the other stuff is just, well, it could be any other business. So great, you have an R&D center down there. You're making stuff. I don't even know what it is. But how can you help the community, whether it be as an incubator or someone has an idea or they want to use some of your resources? I would love to hear about it. And secondly is I think that there is a dearth of education with regards to how you're marketed to the community.
Yeah, so I would tell you, I think that's changing. I think our visibility in the community is changing, and work closely with Paul Vogel and the Columbia Economic Team. And so they host multiple events and bring folks to our site. We are an applied research center associated with the university. So we're not a small job shop. We're not the PCC Training Center has a maker space where people can make things, and they have smaller versions of everything we have, and we hire their folks after they get skilled. I have multiple people on site right now that went through the 2-year machine technology program, and now they're learning to run advanced equipment. We do have the ability to support incubators that are interested in metal machining, manufacturing, and in additive printing of metals and composites. We're not there's a lot of sites that do polymers and the things that people print at home or college students have in their dorms. That's not what we're about. But there's a lot of companies that can benefit from what we do, and we're happy to talk to anybody where their interest matches the capabilities that we have. And we're giving incredible opportunities to students that come, that get a chance to see equipment that comes from all over the world, and they get a chance to learn how to run equipment from Germany and Japan and South Korea and across the United States. All those have job potential for them. And we bring visitors from around. So I've hosted multiple groups that are working on trying to get hotels in the area. The event we're hosting in December will probably have 60 or 70 people. Many of them will fly in from locations farther away and would love to stay in the community and not have to go back to Portland for the night. So we're hopeful that can happen over time. And we hope to continue to expand. So we try to support anything local that makes sense for us. PCC calls us constantly, and we get tours that start there and come over to our site. So we're touring people every single day, and anybody is welcome to call and say they want to come in. But again, we're there to promote more advanced manufacturing that is of interest to a lot of companies. And I think the Center of Innovation Excellence grant will allow us to showcase that for more companies in the immediate area as well as across the state of Oregon. So you just have to let us know how we can help, but we're trying to get as much information out as we can.
Well, there seems to be some confusion around PCC and OMIC. They're two separate entities, it sounds like, but at the same time, they're always almost in the same breath. We were asked to come there to go for a visit. Was that a year ago, maybe, or 18 months ago? We saw this lab, and they had all these things. That was PCC. Well, what I'm saying, just from a branding point of view or from a messaging point of view, to the community, what I'm hearing is that PCC OMIC it's almost the same sentence, it's almost the same thing, and really, it's two separate things, and so maybe it's a PCC
One is
issue.
hosted by Oregon Tech, the Polytechnic University, and I think you'll see their presence grow. And one is hosted by the largest community college in the state of Oregon. Now, when we created OMIC R&D, was there when PCC decided to build the training center, they asked us if they could add the OMIC name because they thought the brand was helpful to them. And we said, you're welcome to do that. And they, chase people from there to us, and we do vice versa. But I think it does give us a stronger presence beyond Scappoose that we're one entity. And I can tell you that, sites like ours that have access to both a training center where we can do technical training, that's added to an applied research center where students continue to grow their skills, that's a good thing. And the confusion that happens, PCC and Oregon Tech, we work through that, and it's not really a big concern for us. But PCC was very interested in adding that to their name, and we let them do that. And I think it made sense. Yeah.
I think from a citizen's aspect or from a user aspect, it is confusing.
Yeah.
Because, I literally had people going, I have an idea, I want to go down, and they go on the OMIC website and they're confused.
Well, I think that maybe the breakdown is OMIC is as open to the public as a Cascade Tissue is. They are its entity. The community partnership, and correct me if I'm wrong, is PCC OMIC. That's the partnership to the community. Correct?
I would say we're both partners. So, we're both public institutions in that OMIC isn't a separate OMIC R&D is not a separate legal entity. We are Oregon Tech. I'm an employee of Oregon Tech. Natalie and the group over at the training center are employees of Portland Community College. Anybody can walk in the door there, and if they say, I have this idea, if Natalie or Sarah or any of the folks there said, no, that idea is better suited for OMIC R&D, they would immediately send them our direction. Likewise, anybody that walks in our door with an idea that we see is better suited for the PCC training center, we send them that direction. And we send our college interns over there for skills training at the start of their internship. We get 6 Oregon State interns every summer. They spend 6 weeks there, and then they come here. And I would tell you our internships are highly valued, and we get emails wanting to come back for a second or third year. And so I think, if you have somebody that wants to know about it, send them our directions, give us our number. I'd be happy to talk to anybody. But we're a very unique facility that nothing exists like this really on the West Coast of the United States that have such complete capabilities that we have. And I think you're going to see us continue to grow. And our hope is to grow with people from this community, because I've hired multiple people in the last 6 months that gave up commuting for 45 minutes or an hour because they live in this community and they had an opportunity to work on our facilities organization or be a project manager or be a researcher because they live in this community. And that's our intent to do going forward. So I think it's partnership, and you let us know how we can help.
Yeah, I just want to give you that feedback from more of a citizen aspect. I mean, that's all. You
Thank you,
take or
Paul.
leave it, but.
John, thank you so much.
My
Somebody
pleasure.
else?
Hi there. This is Chelsea Lynn. I'm sorry I'm late. It took me a while to get through. So if there's any questions about PCC Training Center, I am here to answer them. I'm on the phone.
Well, you're next, so you can.
Okay, great. Well, that works out well then.
Yeah, good job teeing yourself up.
Okay. Thank you, Dawn. I thought you did a great job explaining kind of the nuts and soup of our time and communication together and what we do together. So I wanted to give a quick update, just letting everybody know that we have a few things that we've been doing. And we wrapped up our manufacturing day, which was on October 3rd. And we had almost, I'd say it was about 158 students total, and we had 16 industry learning stations there. And again, we did do that in coordination with R&D, and they were a fabulous partner during that day. Students got a lot out of the learning stations. We had over 50 volunteers, and we collaborated with quite a few vendor partners that were here as well. So they really got an opportunity to have a hands-on demonstration in both machining and welding, composites, electrical trades, and automation, so that some of the vendors that were here with us, like Align Precision and Hangsterfers, Acumed, Janicki, and Course Tech were here. So it was a really great day. I think students got a lot out of it. And our next event is in February, where we have another event similar to this, but we're calling it Advancing Diversity in Manufacturing Day. And it's formally called Supporting Women in Manufacturing Day. And so we're hoping to do that. We are doing that in February. And then the other thing that we've been doing is we have hired an internship coordinator who's helped us with expanding internships here at OMIC and working with school districts, and Aaron Pink staff over at Scappoose, and we have the rest of Columbia County that we've invited to attend, where we would like to really invest in trying to bring people together in developing more comprehensive internships with Columbia County workforce. So that is that, and part of that was that we created over the summer our interns who got paid. We had 8 interns, and they were high school students, most junior and seniors, who came in, and we had some second-year interns, and they developed what we call tourism markers, and they are being placed all over. And we had one placed yesterday evening at Scappoose Marina, and tonight we're placing another one. And so that's been fabulous. I have some slides of some of those projects I will share with you all so that you can take a look at what we've been doing with those interns and how we've been building that program. There's also some student spotlights that we have around students who've been here and what they're doing. We had a Scappoose High School graduate recently, Jay Sriloho, who completed both pre-trades in advanced manufacturing and the HVAC program at PCC. He was ranked 21 out of 200 at IBEW, and he's in his second year apprenticeship with Intel. That's an example of one of the type of students that we have here. And so I can share those slides. I don't want to take too much time, but just wanted to give an update on where we are with that. And we have just come out with our winter schedule. And so happy to share that as well. So if anyone who's interested in our pre-trades or welding or machining or any one of the classes that we offer here, they're welcome to give us a call. We'd like to help them get into one of our programs. Thank you for letting me give an update.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. Vogel, are you ready to go?
Good afternoon. I think so. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, but we can't see you.
Well, I'm on my phone, so
How will I know what vest you have on?
you'll be. I don't actually. Shame on you. Just a quick touch base on OMIC R&D and PCC OMIC. I think from sort of a retail and public perspective, it can cause some confusion. I think we're working through that, but I think in the industry and in the public sector, where significant amount of funding and support continues to be built for the overall concept of the Oregon Manufacturing Innovation Center in Scappoose, which is those facilities writ large, as well as other developments that come in. It's important to keep those two tied pretty close together because they provide a critical mass to policymakers and funding sources and that sort of thing. I think OMIC R&D is going to get a little more retail. We're very excited that CET's is aligned closely with OMIC R&D's Center of Innovative Excellence grant, which is literally going to help us, allow us to bring businesses to OMIC to look at the possibility of doing some free work in product development or troubleshooting or that sort of thing. And I'm sure Don touched on that while I was still fighting with Microsoft. But we're looking forward to that stuff starting to happen in the next few months. Couple of things quickly: recruitment, retention, expansion, small business recruitment. We're in the financing stage with a new bank in the USDA for Scion Lumber, which is up in Clatskanie. And yes, it is up there, but it has quite a number of associated jobs throughout the county. We had a meeting recently with the city of Scappoose and Business Oregon and Columbia River PUD on Project Oak Tree, which is a Business Oregon project. It's a food processing and production facility, 400 to 500 jobs. They're looking at the Commerce Center. And we're notified this week that Scappoose is in the top 3 of Oregon's candidate sites. However, we are still competing with the states of Idaho and Utah. So
Is this the lettuce manufacturer?
it is.
Can't say manufacturer,
is.
right? Okay.
And and so we're working through a few things on that, but a very competitive site in Oregon. There's some advantages and disadvantages, obviously, to any site in any state. Utah and Idaho have their own, so we'll keep you posted. Project Arcadia is working through a couple more regulatory issues in St. Helens, but my understanding is they're ready to close on the deal with City of St. Helens after a couple of snags. On the retention side, we're working closely with Oregon Aero to work through some issues, retain 45, 46 jobs at the Scappoose Airport. On the tourism front, well as leading what has turned into a bit of a delegation. I think there's a couple of folks coming from Scappoose, a couple of folks from the county, from the port, to the Recreation Summit in Eastern Oregon, which is kind of the first step to get connected with Travel Oregon and start the process to do their progressive recreation development, which is first stage is planning, and the state contributes consultants and experts to help you. Next stage is funding, and outdoor recreation happens to be our tourism strategy. So that's the first time we've had that kind of representation from Columbia County at that conference. That's great. Small business side of things, November 5th, there's a Munch and Learn in Clatskanie. It's kind of basic farm finance and economics. November 15th, the Local for the Holidays kicks off. So get out there and get your Wonder Card. And we also have a countywide gift card program this year. November 20th is another Munch and Learn, which is preparing for the year end and your taxes. Be a good session to step in on as small businesses. On November 29th will be Small Business Saturday, National Small Business Saturday Bazaar, Holiday Bazaar, and this year it will include a night market. That will be at the John Gum Building. So exhibitors and shoppers alike, we would love to have you there. And then the SBRC Holiday Cheer will be December 10th. More details to come as that pulls together. And we are currently waiting for award notice, we hope, on an Oregon Community Fund grant, which would fund more technical assistance grants for our GROW clients. Also, an ROI grant, which would do the second stage of our BRE project, as well as marketing and communications, and a technical assistance grant, which would help us fund some actual peer groups and cohorts through the SBRC. And I would also, I think, Mark, you were, or Paul, you were talking about, access to do sort of personal or even business prototyping and printing and that sort of thing. The Fab Lab at PCC is great for that, but also, I realize it's a 7-mile drive, but the Makerspace at the St. Helens Learning Center is also a place where there is, it's not quite of the scale that Don has in his shop, but those are some good places to do some prototyping and get some assistance with product development. Happy to answer any questions. That's it for me.
I have a question. This is the first we've heard of Scion Lumber. Can we talk about that?
Oh, we talked about it a bit over the last couple of years. It is a specialized lumber manufacturing plant it will be the second plant in Oregon to the Myers Woodline Company, and it would be about 35 to 38 jobs. And they've already purchased a site, and they have zoning and all of that in just outside of Claxton.
You don't know what they make.
They make specialized pallets. Turns out the pallet industry is kind of a huge driver in supply chain. And so they actually have an equity partner, which is their largest customer, that has given them a guaranteed contract for 20 years to manufacture pallets and pallet repair parts. And
So we're
I would
Columbia
never
County and
thought-
we have 2 pallet manufacturers. Crazy.
Pallet cap.
This would be a
From
different
Mecca.
type, but yes. Yeah.
There's our branding.
No.
I mean,
Pallet
that's
capital.
the reality is you don't need
Cedar
100-foot
pallets.
cedar clears for pallets. You need this is a great use of wood that the Weyerhaeusers and the Georgia Pacifics and the other mills are trying to get rid of. This is all cut into smaller pieces, but it's unusable for building products and that sort of thing.
Paul, pallets are almost always made of oak. I don't think Weyerhaeuser and those people deal in oak.
That's correct. They do not.
Well, they are not all.
Okay, that doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
And these will not be.
Thank you, Paul.
Hi there, this is Chelsea again. Can I just make a correction around the Scappoose Bay Marina Historic Marker installation? It's happening tonight from 4 to 4:30 at Scappoose Bay Marina.
Okay, can you say it again? Which event was this?
It's the historical marker that one of our interns developed or built for the Scappoose Bay Marina, and they're installing it down at the marina tonight from 4 to 4:30.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So I think that Miss Nancy Ward is up on the floor. You gonna talk about food bank? Pardon me? Food bank? You already showed your,
Know that. Gina, she's the food bank expert.
okay.
So following up, Chelsea, thank you so much for bringing up the event tonight for between 4 and 4:30 at Scappoose Bay Marina. And Chelsea, we thank you and your interns for making all this possible. I haven't actually seen the plaque yet, so I'm looking forward to that. And along with other things at the marina, we are grappling with the continuing future of the marina. And to that end, we have put together a committee to help us sort through how we are going to deal with the environmental changes that are caused by being on a river that silts in, and we will no longer be dredging. We can no longer afford to continue dredging because dredging has to be done so often now. It used to be like every 10 years. Now we actually need, if any of you have driven by during the summertime and looked over and seen all the brown, you just wonder, is there any room for any boats at all? And so the summertime, of course, is a huge challenge. And where are we headed with the marina? You know, how large boats can we accommodate? It is obviously always going to be available for kayaking. That, of course, is huge. And we're very happy to say that the new owner of the Paddle Shack has taken over from Next Adventure. And we expect that to continue to be the anchor there, along with the RV spots. But as to the future of the floating homes, as to the future of continued boat traffic, especially commercial fishing boats, we need to have a plan in hand before it actually hits, before the marina is no longer viable to get in and out of in the summertime. We need to know where we're going with that. So to that end, as I said, we put together this committee, and we're having our first meeting on November 3rd. at the port office at 11 o'clock, and you're all invited to join in if you just would like to come and listen. It'll also be on Zoom if you want to Zoom in. And this is huge for us. You know, it's a huge shift in our thinking about how we are going to operate on the river as far as retail, so to speak, user friendly. We know we don't have any issues, of course, at Port Westward, out in Clatskanie. That's never going to be a problem as far as running out of water. But on the Multnomah Channel, it's a huge problem. I mean, I even live in a floating home up here, and even in the summertime up here, the houses that are closest to the dike end up bumping against the silt. So it's a huge problem across the Multnomah Channel, and we're hoping to get ahead of it. The other challenge we're facing is at the airport. I think I have mentioned that we will need to be closing the airport for 90 days next year. Closing the airport for 90 days. It's huge, but it has to be done. We are under obligation from the FAA, who is funding this rehab project, which includes the tarmac as well as electrical work. And we are charged with closing the airport. Any other configuration that we can come up with to keep it open slightly, to keep it open a shorter amount of time, or keep it open a longer amount of time, will stretch out the length of the project itself, and we will have to pay. The FAA will not pay for anything except closing it for 90 days, doing all the work and getting it done all at one time. So again, we have lots going on in that direction, trying to figure out how we might be able to do workarounds, how we might be able to keep these businesses going, because we have, you know, basically 4 businesses that rely on, their livelihood relies on the airport, relies on flying their planes in and out. Our recreational is not the biggest issue. Obviously, it's a huge inconvenience, but it isn't their livelihood. So again, we would welcome any ideas, any suggestions, any help from the community. We don't know how aware you are and how much this will impact Scappoose, but something to certainly keep in mind. It will happen sometime in the spring, so of course, taking advantage of the best weather, which will be anytime from, say, May and June is probably when it will start. Yes.
Hi, I don't know if this is, you're aware of it. The Grabhorns used to own a private airstrip. Have you
Yeah.
talked to them, for at least the businesses that are out there, to see if they might be able to use their private airstrip?
Yes, it is under discussion, but
Okay.
yeah, as viable, hard to say how viable it is. Yeah, yeah. Any other questions?
You're so cheery and you have all these great things to share. You're kind of Debbie Downer today.
I know, but isn't that why they pay us the big bucks, so we can solve these problems?
Do they pay you big bucks? I don't know this.
No, I'm a volunteer basically, but
I got that.
I get lots of kudos and I get sandwiches.
Yes,
Thank you.
we work for food. Thank you. We'll be objective.
And did you have a question?
Good. So the construction, what are they going to do to the airport? What's the plan?
We have new electrical that's going to be going in, so of course that means lots of digging. And then at the same time resurfacing, which is, you know, a continual issue. But this is a major resurfacing as opposed to minor resurfacing.
Is it only the runways or is it also the taxi ways?
It's
and
everything. It's going to affect everything.
Are you going to increase the length of the runway or anything like
No.
that? Nope, so it's just maintaining what you got.
Just maintaining, this is all just maintenance. Yeah.
Nancy, are there other strategies from other airports? Because I assume this happens all over the country all the time. Are there strategies from other airports that have worked during closures?
Yes, and that strategy involves paying lots of money out of your own pocket to work at night. So working at night and getting the job done sooner is one option. And the other is to stagger the work so that you can use the runway sometimes, but again, all of that adds time. And that's what we were up against, is the money that it takes to pay to have that extra time.
And what you said too is that like, once you start modifying the project, the FAA isn't going to fund these improvements. Is that correct?
No, they're funding the whole thing, but they will only fund it if it is done in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah, okay,
And with no overtime.
got it.
But they are paying, I think it's 96% of the project. So we're multi-million dollars. So that's why it's so important.
Okay.
And one of the things we need to know is, exactly what the financial impact is at the airport. That's another thing we need to investigate. So yeah, lots of questions, not a whole lot of answers.
Going to give the tenants a chance. I know that there are businesses that can still access their properties, but like, let's say I rented a hangar, but you're giving those people notice that they need to have their planes out or they're going to be locked in.
We started notifying the people at the airport several months ago, and we continue to keep that on the front burner because yes, we want everybody to be fully aware. We don't want this to be a surprise for anybody, and we want everyone's help in making this run as smoothly as possible so it can be done very efficiently and quickly.
We walk on CZ Trail regularly, and at any given time, I can usually count at least one plane in the air, either approaching or taking off. It's amazing how much use it gets.
Yeah.
60,000 a year.
Yes. Yes. And of course, a lot of those are touchdowns, just simply people practicing or, fulfilling their obligations to get their licensing. So they never stop. They never buy anything. They just simply touch and go. But that is a lot of the traffic that we have at the airport. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Now we have Columbia River PUD, not Heidi. Who is our new ED for the food bank? I don't even know this.
Casey Wheeler.
Okay, yeah.
He kind of left and came back.
He left and he came back.
Oh, he left and came back.
Yep. But I'm here for PUD, Gina Cisco. Some updates. We recently signed a new long-term power sales agreement with the Bonneville Power Administration. This agreement has been taking a few years to come to fruition, and it guarantees affordable tier 1 power rates for the PUD through September of 2044. So that's a big deal for us. We have the 2026 budget that was just approved by the Budget Advisory Committee at the October meeting. This $49 million operating and capital budget represents a 2.4% increase over 2025. The board will adopt the final budget at their December meeting, and we'll have a hearing at the December meeting if you're interested and would like to attend. We had our customer appreciation dinner in October, where 285 customers attended our spaghetti dinner at the fairgrounds. And we recently this week went live with the new website design for the PUD. So if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. Actually, it just went live yesterday. The last major update was in 2018, and the new design meets new website ADA accessibility requirements for government websites and gives us opportunity to highlight our programs in different ways. That's what I got.
Thank you.
I have a question. Again, this is feedback from others, because that's where we're supposed to be, community, listening to other communities, people in the community. So approximately, what is your marketing budget for the year? Do you have any idea? For the PUD? About?
Had to be on the budget that just got approved.
It is. I'm off the top of my head. I don't want to misquote it, but I could.
Okay.
Yeah, it might.
Because the reason I ask is because, again, just talking to citizens, it's a very sensitive time because the electrical rates have gone up quite a bit over the last period. And then they see the PUD marketing themselves. You know, you go to whatever, you know, and they're giving away things or whatever. But the PUD, like from the consumer basis, you don't have a choice. You're hooked to the PUD or you're not. So it's been asked of me, just as a anecdotal thing, is why is my money that I spend on bills being paid to give out trinkets out of Carnival or something? Or why am I paying more on my bill, yet I'm getting a paper calendar that I don't need, or things like that. And I just want to bring that, again, this is not me personal. This is just people talking, because it is a sensitive subject now with electrical rates kind of going where they're going. Has that ever been talked about on the PUD level?
I do know that we get a lot of, I forget, 300,000 from BPA for energy efficiency outreach and to help people upgrade their homes for efficiency. Then we pass that savings on to our customers, and it's a pass through from BPA. A lot of that that we do at the events that we host and where you see us at the fairs and stuff, we're trying to get that information out to people.
So to promote those
programs. So there's a lot of that we do spend money on that we do get reimbursed. There is a marketing budget that the PUD has for promoting services at the PUD. I can't recall off the top of my head exactly what that number is, but if there's
I like my
customer
calendar.
feedback on that, on whether or not those should be continued, I mean, feel free to please submit those to our website or to the PUD, and
I would just feedback
Yeah.
for you. That's all.
I had a suggestion. If you have a booth or something that's being paid for by a grant, you might want to put a little sign up that says paid for by
let's not.
grant, this X or whatever. That way there'll be no confusion and people won't feel like
Is
spending their
it a
money.
thing? I don't think it's a thing. Fine. Thank you for the calendar. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Twice a year. I get it. Both places. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not that it's the booth
kid
is
like
funded
that,
by
too.
the grant, but we're promoting programs for energy efficiency that
Yeah.
we are savings that we are reimbursed. Right now we have heat pumps that are going to be that we're working with local plumbers because the BPA is going to reimburse. I think it's $1,800 if you upgrade your
Water
heat pump.
heater.
Heat
Yeah.
pump.
So those are the types of things that we're trying to just spread the message, and those are the things that we do at our booths. We do hand out the trinkets and stuff. That is a budget that the PUD does have that we do pay for. If that's something that people are not
I
happy
don't know.
with,
This was
you
given
know,
some feedback.
We're happy. Thank you.
perfectly
Thank
welcome
you.
to please submit your comments and the board will see those.
So
Right.
can I say something
Yeah.
also? So I grew up between Sherwood and Newburgh up on a mountain, and we would regularly have power outages for 3, 4, 5 days. And that was when I was little. And when I moved to Scappoose, I think that we've been without power. We live on a 5-acre parcel. And I think that we've been without power maybe for 6, 8 hours in the last 20 years.
Me too.
And
My hat is off to you.
yeah, and the price that I was paying in Portland for PG, it was probably at least 25 or 30% less when I moved, which was a welcome thing. When I was building my house, it was very nice to talk to you. I was looking at 2 parcels. One was on Scappoose Vernonia Highway, where it was Western Oregon Electric. And I asked them for a quote, and I asked you for a quote on what it would cost. And so Columbia River PUD got a price back to me, usually probably within a week. And I had to hound Western Oregon Electric for a month, and they finally told me that it probably was going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 25,000, but just write a blank check. That's what they would not give me a price, and I was going to pay whatever they felt like charging me. And so I want to applaud you for your transparency. You guys do a great job.
And as a note, PG has had multiple rate increases and our rates are about 40% less than what you would pay at PG. Thank you.
And,
you.
and half of Western Oregon Electric.
I was actually gonna have solar panels put on my house, because those people call all the time. And it just doesn't pencil with the cost of our power. Yes. Yes, thank you. Mr. Jeff, Scappoose Library.
Well,
What wonderful
our,
things are you doing for our community?
Our upcoming big event is the Kids Market at the Senior Center on the 15th of November. And the reason we do that is to give kids a little taste of entrepreneurship, and they have to create a business plan. So they learn about profit, hourly wage, cost per item, that sort of thing. We've been giving the kids out their sample business plans and signing them up. We're going to have between 30 and 40 vendors at the senior center, and their business plans are due back to us Saturday. So we have to approve the business plan, and then they are calculating what we think is unreasonable. Then we give them business time back, and they have to.
That's really nice.
And the other big thing we're doing, of course, is the Wednesday food giveaway. Too bad Sean left, because the way we pay for that is we get an amount of produce from the food bank that's been declining since middle of summer. We're getting about maybe 60% of what we did earlier in the summer, but more people are coming to the food giveaway. And then Sean, through Grocery Outlets, giving us about $100 worth of product a week, and I'm giving $120 to give away. That's how we're paying. And we get over 100 people, and it's increasing every week now.
What kind of food?
What between Sean and I, what we're giving is canned goods, non-perishables. I have been buying some produce at Chef's Store because of the lack of what we're getting from.
How often are you doing this again? Is it once a week?
Every Wednesday. And the Foursquare does it too, I think. They've started again. They had some sort of flood in the basement that wiped out their refrigeration. I think they're back up on that.
Are these like food baskets? That kind of thing?
No, we just set it out we put it on the tables in the meeting room, and you just go through the line and take whatever you want.
You need additional donations?
Additional food donations would be good. Since we're not using public money for this, we don't have a way, if people give us cash, to use that.
Okay. Here we are, all the way to City of Scappoose. Miss Lori doing it.
Alrighty. Well, I'm going to keep this somewhat brief so we have enough time for our next discussion. So we've held, well, first of all, let me update you all on the hotel development, because I know that's an interest of yours.
Do we know anything about what's this hotel thing? I'm not sure.
There is a proposed hotel development on Wagner Court. We held a pre-app for that hotel since our last meetings. We held that on October 1st, and they are currently actively working on putting together their conditional use application for approval. Don't know yet when that will come back in, but I know they're definitely working on that. We've held a few other pre-apps and inquiry meetings lately for a few different annexations. We also have an annexation that was just deemed complete. It's about 2 acres on Southeast Elm Street. That will be considered by Planning Commission in December and council meetings in January. We also have the Maple Street subdivision that's still in completeness review. That would be for a 14-lot subdivision to support townhomes. And actually, just yesterday, I had the owner of the gravel lot right over here, right in front of City Hall, reach out and say they have renewed interest in starting that project up for a mixed-use building. So that would be very, very good. So we'll be meeting with them mid-November to kind of re-engage in what that looks like. And then I did want to report back that, as you know, the city applied for 2 TGM grants earlier this year. One was for the downtown improvement plan, and one was for an updated transportation system plan. We were one of 10 grant awardees in the entire state, and we had our transportation system plan chosen for funding. That was a $250,000 grant ask. So we were very happy that that came back. I have already met with the grant funders to discuss the downtown improvement plan grant. It was close to being funded. I got really good feedback from the grant funders on what to update in that application. I would like to reapply next year. This is a yearly grant process. There are still things the city and EDC can work together on in terms of programming that might support our small businesses, also looking at resources to help our entrepreneurs. There's a lot of good work that CET is doing and that Sierra is leading up. Paul mentioned one of the grants that they are going for that would take their BRE project to the next level. We could also look at having some guest speakers come in to some of our EDC meetings and speak to us about things that have worked in their communities to spur downtown development. Anyway, we can talk about some options there for that in the future. And then I did also want to mention, in case you hadn't heard, the city was successful in receiving a $1 million grant from Oregon Parks and Recreation to develop the Grabhorn Park parcel, which is north of the Veterans Park. So it would sort of be a phased approach. 1 million sounds like a lot, but it doesn't buy as much as they used to. So we're looking at, for that development, a creekside trail, installing a parking lot and restrooms. It would level out a graded area for a multi-use field. And I believe that this involves some disc golf as well. And then in the future, we would look to add additional parking, possibly some sort of courts, whether those are pickleball courts or otherwise, and some seating and kind of further development of that field, maybe for a specific use. So that is my update for today.
What happened with the tree root issue?
The what was
Didn't
that?
we have tree root issues? That's why we couldn't develop the park before?
So do you mean along the western boundary?
Don't be
very-
throwing out your western business with me, Lori.
Okay. Opposite the creek side, the creek would be the east side.
Yeah, that side.
Yeah, I do recall that conversation, but that had to do with, give him a second, find the button. There we go. There was a tree root issue, and it had to do with the western boundary, which is opposite the creek side.
Thank you.
And it was because of the way a connecting road would have gone along that side of the property. This portion of the grant would not install any type of a roadway there.
Okay, so the roots are safe.
Yeah, the roots are safe.
Oh.
No, the roots are safe. The parking lot would be centered more where the existing house is, and that house would be removed as part of the development.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Scappoose St. Helens Trail,
Oh, yeah.
is that
Thank
set
you.
up?
More volunteers, because I have some for you.
Carl. I do have a list started of folks who've showed interest. I have been reaching out, like I would say monthly, to get updates on when those meetings will kick off. Haven't heard anything. As far as I know, they were extremely close to having the final contract with the consultant finalized. And I know that it's a very lengthy process to get everything ready through ODOT, which is why even the transportation system plan, even though we've been awarded, that won't actually kick off until next summer or about this time next year. It takes a year actually to get everything in place. So I'll reach out once I have more info on that.
I'm just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
What's going on with the dealer's market lot? Because it's
Yeah,
prime real
what is
estate.
going on with that?
Great question. The latest I've heard is that the owner had some work to do. There was a DEQ violation for their stormwater. They are working right now to upgrade or remediate the issues with that. They are looking at still having someone else, a different owner, come in and do a used car lot again, not the same ones that were there before. But then I also have sort of heard that folks are reaching out actively to the current owner, looking to purchase and do something else with the property. So I don't know to what extent he's entertaining offers, but that's what I've heard sort of through my office.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it Susie Dahl? Is she doing our presentation? We're so excited. Do we want to, Brian, let's talk about why we've asked for Susie Dahl to come and do our presentation.
Sure. So I own a variety of multi-tenant commercial buildings in town. And as for the last year or so, we've had issues with what is called a change of use permit. That's probably not a great description of actually what it is, but we can talk about that a little bit more. Most recently, we lost the formation of a new business because they were ready to sign the lease. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but you have to do a change of use permit. By the time they found out what was entailed, the expenses, the unknowns, they decided that it wasn't for them. They told me, in fact, that it was, even though they live in Columbia County and the rent was cheaper, it was easier for them to do business in Portland than to come to Scappoose, which is, man, that hurt. And I have had a meeting previously with the city, and so I don't question your authority to have a change of use permit. But my position is that you may have the authority, but is it required? Because if it's not required, we should get rid of it because it's hurting small businesses. And I've heard, I can give you some other examples. The process, besides paying a fee and having an inspection, creates unknown because they don't know what's going to come back when they try to apply. So it adds a layer of expense. They have to have drawings done. Some people, the city's always been very nice about saying that, hey, you can draw your own, you don't have to hire a draftsman. But most small business people aren't going to do that. So they say, okay, well, there goes $1,000 for somebody to draw up that. I got to pay for the permit fee. I've got to have inspection, so that means more time. It adds another layer and it becomes a barrier to business formation. But even worse than that, it also prevents businesses from moving. So if you want to grow, it can prevent you from moving to a larger location. Or if you want to shrink or go out of business, it makes it easier just to go out of business.
Okay.
So
Very daunting for a small business.
I understand that. Thank you for having me here. Was hopefully trying to clear this up for you guys. I created a presentation for you and going back to, is it required? One of the biggest things, and Scappoose does have it on their website. It's been on their website for some time about a change of use permit and a change of occupancy. It is required by building code. So on this, I think one of the biggest challenges is people don't think about doing it. They just think, okay, there's a space for rent, I can use it. Yes, usually for retail to retail, yes. And I did put in some examples in here. So first of all, one of the biggest purposes of a change of use, change of occupancy is one, planning. Is it allowed at the location? It's like that in every city. You have to make sure what the zoning is to see if it's even allowed there, depending on the type of business. So we need to know what kind of business it is. Some cities require SDC fees. If you're using more water, you might need a bigger meter. If you're going to impact traffic, depending on what type of business it is, you might need a transportation analysis. And that's within the cities. So we even have those in the county in the areas where it's considered existing commercial or rural industrial. Zion Lumber, for example, they took an old lumber yard. They are not impacting anymore because the square footage is the same. Their employee is similar, so they did not have to do a transportation analysis, but they're building from the ground up all over again. So other agencies that often need to be included are agencies like the city to get a business license, public health. If it is a restaurant, you might have public health involved, or Department of Agriculture. And I had to go through that here when I had a wine shop in Scappoose. I had to do a change of use. It took less than 30 days from beginning to end for the process. I had to have a 3-compartment sink. The plumbing was already there. I had to have a mop sink. That was already there. But Department of Health licensed me, or excuse me, Department of Agriculture did my license, my restaurant license for that portion of the building to be able to prepare food. What people don't realize is unless it's already built out, it has to be built out. And that's a public health requirement. But what I did on here is on page 3. Did you guys all get this handout? Okay. So it requires a permit. Every building space or tenant space is given an occupancy and a classification when it's built. If you change that occupancy or classification, that's when the change of use are.
But that's not how it's been implemented. It's been done as not of a change of occupancy, it's been a change of tenant. So yeah, I actually have printout, which people don't have a lot of time, so I probably won't hand it, but all my buildings are rated B&M occupancy, which gives you a very broad category. And yet when I've had tenants change, they had been told, like a hairstylist would be under a B&M. We were told, need a change of use permit. Keep in mind that the hairstylist is also regulated by the state, and the state will check for all the things that they need specifically. So I'm not, maybe this is as it is, but that shouldn't be called a change of use or change of occupancy.
Let me
because it's not a
continue,
change.
and I will show you the definition, which is on page 4. This comes right out of Oregon building codes. And remember, in building codes, shall means it's law, it's required no matter what. And I put this down verbatim as it is out of the building code. A change of occupancy is any of the following shall be considered a change of occupancy where this code requires a greater degree of safety, accessibility, structural strength, fire protection, means of egress, ventilation, or sanitation that is existing in the current building or structure. Number 1, any change in the occupancy classification of a building or structure. Number 2, any change in the purpose of or change in the level of activity within a building or structure. Or number 3, a change of use. Then the definition is a change of use that says any change in the use of a building or portion of a building within that same group classification, example of B&M, which there is no change in application of the code requirements. Our building codes change every 3 years. With it going, and I use that as one of the examples on page 5 because I knew that was an issue. It's ventilation rates. It's HVAC ventilation rates that are required for a salon. That is what the change of use would have been. And going through that permit is pretty quick. Hand-drawn sketch, we've let you do that before in this city. I was in the meeting with you.
Right. No, but this isn't just for the beauty salon. For instance,
No, I have other
right, but I'm
examples
saying,
here.
okay, but I'm saying is like, I know the feed store was set up for a change of use permit when they wanted to remove a non-load bearing, non-ceiling height wall. You guys ultimately decided not to force them to do it, but they were asked to do a change of use permit. And that was the same business.
It should have just been a structural permit at that point,
But it wasn't.
unless they expanded into another space.
No. I mean, it just seems like it's being a little overly zealously enforced. You
We're
know,
here to help and we want the economy and the business, we just ask people to come talk to us first, or community development, Columbia County, wherever. So we are following the state requirements. If you go to any website for any city, any county, they have all the same information there.
I know that some jurisdictions don't enforce this. Why do they not enforce it?
City of Portland has their own building code. City of Portland also has multiple spaces available that have already been converted. And that's not an excuse that I'm saying that City of Scappoose does not have that, but there is, as much as we want the opportunity out here, there isn't as much viable retail space available.
That said, it seems that we have a consistent theme throughout our experience where businesses, it's not how do we get to yes, it's no. Like how can we get to yes? How can we make it easier or less daunting for our small business owners? Because as a small business owner, you know, I'm good at what I do. I'm not good at making a space. So it shouldn't be so hard to create business in Scappoose.
And so that's where I think there's another little bit of a misconception, because I saw the report that came out from CET and the Small Business Center. Scappoose rated #1 for getting a business.
They talked to 14 people. I don't know
Okay.
that was representative. They
Okay,
talked to 14 people.
because I'm just going through the statistics. Everybody responded to it. So if they come talk to us, it's usually a pretty quick permit.
One thing that I would add is that on top of whatever you're doing inside the building, if you do a certain amount of improvements, or it is possible for the city to require, we have a bunch of sidewalks, but if you do any construction, generally you're required to bring the sidewalks up to current standards. So,
Yeah.
and the standards are always changing.
Even
and so-
Richter of Brian, he does that. But as a business owner, again, like we're renting a small space. We're not building a pallet mill. We're just renting a small space.
And we're not
It's so
talking
hard.
about major renovations, because it's always been, if you did a major renovation, you had to bring it up to current code. No one's complaining about what's been in the past. What the issue is that there's this new barrier. And I would like to see if there's any possible way to either remove that barrier or at least mitigate it to the point that it's not anywhere near as substantial, and that it's not broadly applied to pretty much anybody who tries to rent something.
I'm going to tell you, I've worked in on the engineering side for a long time. Every city that I've worked in, if you call them and ask, hey, my customer just wants to do this, do they need a permit? Every time the answer is yes, every single time. So if you don't want a permit, don't tell the city that you're doing something. And that's a risky run. That's the option. No. That's, I could never recommend doing that, but it's, that's exactly.
I have another experience.
No one's talking about construction permits. No one's talking about business licenses. In
No, I'm
fact,
talking about occupancy use,
Yeah.
because it changes your ventilation calculations, your lighting, your everything, like every little difference, they want to see it, what you're doing.
But we're not,
I think
changing. What we're
that's
changing,
fine.
we're talking about here is we're not, I mean, I understand what you have in your
Public
package
safety.
here, but we have building specifications. So a building's built as BRM occupancy. And you're still doing a BRM occupancy. So in the old days, like as of until a year or two ago, if you put a new business in, unless it was pretty radical, your B&M occupancy was your BM occupancy.
So building code changed in 2022 with higher rates for what we need to follow.
Okay.
We're stringent. It changes every 3 years.
So does that mean that basically grandfathering in, which used to be the standard, is pretty much gone?
It's gone. There has never been a standard.
No,
It's just who you talk to at the time and what building official you may have had at the time. They might have been more lenient. But it's getting so difficult to be somewhat lenient in the building codes when if somebody complains to BCD, then they can appeal it, which costs the city and the county money. You could appeal the county's decision to building codes.
But,
They're probably going to tell you to go pound sand because it's up to the building official.
right, yeah, no, I understand
But
that.
this doesn't do anything for our small business.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, I think
So-
it's fine for for the large company because they're gonna fight for whatever it is. But as our tenant, and even myself, like if I know that I've now rented one of Brian's spaces or one of George's spaces, but I have to jump through all these hoops, guess what? I'm gonna work in my living room.
It's not a big hoop, though. That's what is the misconception. A small space like this, if you're renting a space like this, you can just hand draw it. You could say, okay, we'll pay for this permit. Do it as a field review. Tell us what we're doing.
Susie, I want to give you a personal experience. So I had a sushi restaurant come in after a bakery, restaurant to restaurant. They required a change of use permit. I don't understand why, because it's a restaurant to a restaurant, but we did. And we were up to code on everything. The only construction we did, which we would not have done if we'd known that it might potentially trigger a change of use permit, is we moved a non-ceiling height closet 3 feet. Okay, would have left it if we had thought it was going to cause a problem. I had a meeting with you guys, and you guys all assured me that we're not going to try to revisit every single thing in this building. Well, the inspector came out. It was not Don, and he tried to tell me that our bathroom walls were not correct because they've made ADA bathrooms a little larger. It would have been a $30,000 change. Because the wall we had floor sinks on the immediate other side of the wall. We had plumbing and wiring. It would have been a god-awful mess. He backed off when I said we had our meeting, because during our meeting, I said specifically, I don't want to hear about my bathroom walls are 3 inches off. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. And so at the end of the day, he notated it he said he was going to notate it on the approval that we weren't in compliance, but he was not going to not approve it.
Great.
Okay, so we got an okay resolution, but that was because I was proactive. If I was just some grandma that inherited a small commercial building and was trying to get a new tenant and trying to get a new tenant in there, they would have been out of luck. And that would have been the end of that business.
The other thing with a restaurant, it might have been restaurant to restaurant. It was a little bit different. They were also adding fryers to there.
No.
They did, and one of the
No.
ones that they were using was not a UL listed product. So
No,
that's the other thing that we look at for fire and life
There's
safety.
no fryers in that business.
I don't think it was
It was a
built
piece
in,
of the
it was
Equipment, it was a freestanding.
freestanding.
There's no fryer. They do ramen. They boil water.
I'm not,
How do they
Well,
cook the
one of their
tempura?
pieces of equipment were not UL listed. That I know.
Okay.
So just changing gears, so we have a building in Northwest Portland, and I'll just give you 1 minute of how they dealt with us. You've been to our building,
Yeah.
Lori.
Fantastic.
Oh, thank you. So when we went in and to purchase it, we went down to the city of Portland and changed the use, possibly. They were amazing to work with. And they said, if you don't want to change the occupancy, here's what you do. You're limited to this, don't do this, don't build this. Anything here has to be this height or whatever. No load bearing wall changes, no bathroom movement, whatever. We took that and said, okay, that's how we're gonna design our building. Now, is
And
that how
Paul,
you guys do it?
To that extent, and thank you again to your wife Lynette for giving us that tour. It was really fantastic. What I heard Lynette say, and this would be, I guess, a note for any small business owners, is that she went down there and she did her homework
Yeah.
for a long
Long
time. A long time. She did a lot of homework.
Yes.
And she designed her space within the parameters to
Yes.
avoid that.
That's right.
So in that case, I don't know to what extent the city was sitting here saying, don't do this, don't do that, as opposed to Lynette going down with very informed questions to do that. Now, would we help someone in that way? Absolutely. Absolutely, we would. Susie is a fantastic resource. Most questions come to Liz in our office. I think the difference here too, where you'll see that Scappoose did rank well for city permitting and regulating. These are businesses that are already in business versus folks who are just starting business. They're not educated around these things. They do need resources and help with that. CET is doing fantastic work around this right now, and we're happy to be able to partner with them as they take these things to the next step. One of the things that the grant funding they're hoping to find out about soon is going to do is hire a consultant to work across all the jurisdictions in the county to put together a kind of a flow chart or an easy to understand way of like, this is how the permitting works in this jurisdiction. This is kind of how you get to approval for different various common application types. So we're trying to build out resources around that to help small businesses. But I will say it's not easy. Land use can be very challenging. Going through a change of use, if you've never done it before, it can be challenging, but the city is here as a resource to help folks through that. Again, I know folks, maybe they don't feel like they can provide, do a sketch. We're happy to provide examples to folks as well.
And you have, actually. You
Yeah.
gave me some examples when I asked about it the first time. So I'm not
Yeah.
complaining that city staff is being helpful.
Sure.
I'm complaining about the whole process.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's,
Understandable.
yeah, because, you're going to rent 700 square feet of space for a small business. Neither the landlord nor the tenant is really interested in going through an extensive process. It's just, there's not enough money in it for me. And I do help tenants. In fact, I help
Yeah.
draw the sushi places plans so they wouldn't
Yeah.
have to hire somebody. And I generally will help my tenants with stuff like this, but it still is scary to them. And in fact, we actually, for the beauty salon, we finally kind of came to a way to get through the ventilation issues with Dawn's help. But by that point, she had such a bad taste in her mouth, and she was so concerned that what else was going to pop up that was unknown, that she just didn't feel it was a good business decision.
May I ask how long a change of use typically takes? I mean, if someone has their ducks in a row.
I think for approval in the county, since we're approving the permits, it usually takes, well, it doesn't come to the building department until planning signs off on it that it's allowed, right? So when it comes to the building department, it takes us less than a week, depending on the extent. We inform them what is required for this. And depending on the use, for example, I put in a larger example in here. That larger example for an airport hangar, adding more office space and more people coming there, it's a change from an S1 to what we're trying to figure out that they're doing, right? And that's something that's a local issue, but we're working through it with them, but it requires a code summary from an engineer.
So there's
get
all
there.
different levels to
There
that. I
is.
guess that's the answer. It depends on what the change
Yeah.
is now and what it's going to.
So I have sometimes people coming to me wanting to do a land use, like a partition or a subdivision. And not you, but they have had other jurisdictions say, oh, well, I've been told that it's only like going to be 4 months, 3 months, 4 months. And I said, that's not possible. And like state law requires you to notify your neighbors and a certain amount of time to go by, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, and it's a 2-part process. You do the preliminary, then you do the final. And each one of those has the same waiting periods. And so you'd be lucky if you had everything perfect and didn't have to build anything, it would be 10 months minimum. But usually it's 12 to 18 months, and sometimes it can be 2-3 years. And so I'm wise enough to know, but sometimes people go in and ask questions and they're given an answer like a week, but then it's really, so.
Yeah, very dependent on the
So in a
project.
situation like he's talking about with the sushi restaurant, and how long would that take if it's not an S1 to S2?
It was not a horrific amount of time once we had a complete application.
Yeah.
But it's another step.
Well,
And that's it becomes a psychological barrier. And then the other problem is, like with the beauty salon, the original answer is we need a fresh air system. Well, that's $16,000. That was out of the budget for that tenant. So then I had a series of going back and forth with Dawn. I was contacting my HVAC people to find out what they could do, how we could get around this $16,000 expense and get it more manageable. And in that process, I finally came to resolution, but it took over a month. That wasn't your guys' fault. It was that, if you can write a check, we could have resolved it in a day. After we, if the tenant was like, or I was going to pay $16,000, but that would have been a year's rent.
Yeah.
So I was going to write a check for $16,000, but I actually ended up with a solution that was going to cost probably in the $3,000 range, and I was willing to guarantee it would not go over that cost to my tenant. But by then, like I said, it was too late. They decided that Scappoose didn't really want their business. And that's the perception. So part of it's a perception issue. Part of it's an educational issue. But there's a third ask I would have an ask on. So the biggest question I had for today, and you already answered it, so we're there, is that it's not optional. You're supposed to do this.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll move on past that. And what I would ask is there seems to be some latitude in implementation, meaning where is the bar where you have to say, we need this change of use permit? Where is it exactly? It does not seem to be a fixed thing, because I've seen how it's been applied in Scappoose, and it's not consistent. And I would say is that I would hope what you guys would do is only implement the change of use permit when it's very clear that you have to, according to state rules. In other words, it's not that you're not government here to help, but small businesses don't want the help. They want to do their business. So if there's a way you can justify not doing a change of use permit, then please don't do it, and consider that the biggest favor you could do those small businesses. If you have to do it, then you have to do it. But I'm not complaining about service, time, to get answers, or staff willing to help. That's all been fine. But it's the process itself is a barrier.
I'm not sure if Liz is the one who would be fielding these particular phone calls, but I have to say that she is amazing.
Yeah.
No, Liz is great.
Yeah.
She's actually helpful with change of use.
That's why
permit
you're
stuff.
here, Liz. Good job.
We do.
Yeah, she's been helpful with that.
Yeah.
And so again, it's not staff's reaction to
Yeah.
this. It's the thing itself, which, okay, we're stuck with it. That's
The
been resolved.
process, yeah.
But also maybe we could be a little lighter on the implementation, where if it's borderline, instead of failing to decide of, yes, we need a change of use permit, maybe we say, no, we don't.
Well, a change of use permit from building code's perspective is part of the structural permit. You just issue it as a structural permit. We call it that. It's based on the value of the project, because we also need to know the value of the project, because building codes also says if it hits a certain threshold, 25% of that has to go into accessibility requirements, starting
Good.
from getting into the building and into the front door.
Right, no, I'm
And
not
that's
questioning
usually
that.
because of older buildings.
Yeah, I'm not questioning any of that.
But-
And then there's always evaluation on any building permit so that you have the information.
And if the tenant who's going to rent the space, if they just say, go talk to the city or go talk to the county first, or make an appointment with them, we can usually do that the same day or the next day, depending on who's on staff, who's not. And then we can give them their options. Once they give us all the information, they inform us what they want to do. And then we can go through it together. This is what you can do. This is what you can't.
Do you charge for time?
Not generally.
Not
We
for
don't.
building. If it's
Yeah.
a new project coming on board and through planning, we do have,
Not
Uh,
for City of Scappoose, City of, or Columbia County, because I think I heard this. Where
So-
you're charged for time, for an appointment.
We do not charge for time for an appointment. We charge for time for a pre-application meeting. That's when they're
Okay,
preparing something. But
that was the appointment.
anybody can come into the counter and talk with anybody. If there's a planner on duty, they'll talk to them.
did Jeff have a question?
Yeah, I had a question about, say you have a property and you're going from retail to retail, like the old pet food stores. Say somebody wants to come in and do retail out of there. Is that a change of use?
Generally, yes, because it depends on the type of retail. If that pet food store, because you have to determine what the use is, what part of retail, because there's different levels in the building code for what levels there are. And with the energy code being so strict, we don't make them bring a whole new building up. But if it is a regular change of use where they're changing it to something else, they might need to put in a higher efficiency HVAC system, something like that. It,
Occupancy and use are not synonymous.
no, they are
Yeah.
not.
No,
So this room here is considered a small assembly, and we have A1 through, I think, A4.
Yeah.
So this would be considered an assembly group. If you wanted to turn this into regular office space, you probably could, but we're gonna wanna see plan with where your walls are going. And I was looking in here earlier, I don't see sprinkler systems in here. It's an unsprinklered building, so
Shh, don't
that
worry
would
about that.
generally be fine. So like at the
Plenty of extra, don't
courthouse.
worry, yeah.
So at the courthouse, we have a sprinklered building. And when we move back there, we want partitions for sound deadening. We can't even go all the way up to the ceiling. That because it's also a 20,000 square foot floor. And there's no way to get HVAC into all those cubes.
I don't know if there's a way to do this, but it's a small thing that might help a tiny bit. If you changed it from change of use to change of tenant, because the tenants are like, this isn't a change of use. And then I have to go into this whole spiel of, well, they say it is.
So we just use the language that building codes gives us because that is,
Yeah.
gives us.
Maybe a
links us
slash.
To the
May-
definition.
Maybe a slash and then tenant,
Parentheses.
because that itself starts the whole process on a bad note. Because people are thinking, why are they doing this to me? I'm not changing the use.
Susie, oh,
I'm good.
I'm good, I'm done.
Susie,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
We're
Sorry,
glad
I'm a
that we
little
have-
under the weather
we-
right now.
We're glad we have Big Brother looking over us at all times, managing the moment and every single thing that we, the United States of America, the free world. Thank you so much for honoring us. Our next meetings are November 20th, December 18th, January 15th, December 18th, only if Brian and his 6 children say that it's okay with you and the paper people today. My God. Don, don't leave. Thank you so much for coming. Great day. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
You boys in the paper.